My friends, today I want to share with you a truth that might challenge everything we think we know about suffering. We live in a world where we are constantly trying to avoid pain at all costs. We do everything we can to steer clear of discomfort and hardship. But what if I told you that suffering is not the enemy? What if I told you that suffering is in fact your greatest teacher? In Buddhist philosophy, we learn that pain is an inevitable part of life. We all experience it, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual. It's not something we can escape. Pain is an unavoidable aspect of the human experience. But suffering? Suffering, my friends, is optional. And that is where the power lies. The Buddha, in his profound wisdom, taught us that suffering does not exist to punish us. It exists to guide us. It is not here to break us. It is here to shape us, to mold us, to help us grow. Imagine for a moment a sculptor working on a block of marble. The marble is rough, uneven, and unshaped. But through the sculptor's careful and intentional strikes, the masterpiece begins to emerge. That is the role of suffering in our lives. It chisels away at us, removing the parts that no longer serve us, revealing the wisdom, the strength, and the beauty that lie beneath the surface. You see, pain in itself is not the problem. The problem arises when we resist it, when we fight against it, when we try to deny its existence. Pain is simply a part of the flow of life. But suffering comes from our attachment to that pain, from our refusal to accept it as a part of our journey. When we accept pain, when we acknowledge its presence without fear, we begin to transform it. We begin to let go of our attachments to the past, to expectations, to outcomes, and in doing so, we allow ourselves to grow. When we meet pain with acceptance, when we meet it with open arms, it loses its power over us. We no longer see it as a force to be feared, but as a teacher that is here to help us evolve. And in that transformation, suffering becomes an invitation to rise above our limited perspective and see the world through a lens of wisdom, an invitation to discover strength in places we didn't even know existed, an invitation to find peace in the chaos of life. So my friends, the next time you find yourself facing hardship, don't ask, why me? Don't fall into the trap of resentment or self-pity. Instead, ask yourself, what is this moment here to teach me? Ask yourself, how can I grow from this? What can I learn about myself in the midst of this challenge? That simple shift in perspective can change everything. It can turn what seems like an obstacle into an opportunity for growth. I want you to understand this. Pain is inevitable. It will come. It may come in many forms: an illness, a loss, an emotional struggle, or a deep personal challenge. But how we respond to that pain, that is where we find our true power. And it is in that power that we begin to understand the deeper teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha said, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Think about that for a moment. Pain is a part of life. It comes to us all. But suffering is not a requirement. Suffering is the result of our attachment to pain, our attachment to the way things should be. When we let go of that attachment, when we let go of the need to control and resist, we begin to see that suffering is not a constant companion. Instead, it fades away, leaving us with the wisdom, the strength, and the peace that we need to face whatever comes our way. This is the essence of Buddhist practice, learning to meet life as it comes with full awareness and acceptance. We are not here to escape suffering. We are here to transcend it. We are here to transform our relationship with pain, to see it as a stepping stone on the path to enlightenment. As we walk the path of mindfulness, we learn that every moment of pain, every moment of discomfort is an opportunity for growth. Each challenge that we face is a chance to cultivate compassion for ourselves and for others. It is through suffering that we learn empathy, that we understand the pain of others more deeply, and it is through that understanding that we are able to connect with others in a meaningful and profound way. Remember, my friends, that true freedom does not come from avoiding pain. It comes from embracing it. True peace does not come from running away from suffering. It comes from facing it head-on with the heart of a warrior and the mind of a sage. True strength is not found in avoiding hardship, but in meeting it with grace and wisdom. So let us walk this path together, not in fear of suffering, but with the knowledge that suffering is a teacher, a guide, a stepping stone on the path to enlightenment. Let us embrace each moment, whether it is filled with joy or sorrow, as an opportunity to grow. Let us be present with our pain, and in doing so, transform it into wisdom, compassion, and peace. And as we walk this path, we are not alone. We are supported by the teachings of the Buddha, by the wisdom of the ages, and by the love and compassion that flow through us all. Together, we can face whatever challenges come our way, knowing that in each moment, we have the power to choose how we respond. And in choosing wisely, we move closer to the peace, the wisdom, and the enlightenment that is our true nature. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of understanding and transformation. May your path be filled with light, may your heart be filled with compassion, and may you always find the strength to meet life as it comes. In the fast-paced world we live in, it's all too easy to become overwhelmed by the noise, the distractions, and the endless pressure to keep up. We constantly find ourselves running, striving, and pushing, believing that peace lies just beyond the next task completed or the next milestone achieved. But the teachings of the Buddha offer us something entirely different, something profound and life-changing. True peace does not come from external circumstances. It comes from within. We live in a world where everything is constantly shifting. Life moves fast, and sometimes it feels as though we're caught in a whirlwind, with everything swirling around us in a storm of chaos. The pressures of daily life, the expectations placed on us, the demands from others, it all adds up. In moments like these, we may feel like we're being pulled in every direction, with no place to find solace. But the Buddha teaches us that peace isn't found by fighting against the storm, by trying to control everything, or by seeking calm in the external world. True peace is found within, through stillness, through mindfulness, and through an active choice to center ourselves in the midst of it all. When we are caught in the whirlwind of life, we often believe that we must escape, fight, or change the external circumstances to find relief. But what if instead of resisting the storm, we learn to find peace in the midst of it? What if the key to peace was not to fight against the chaos, but to remain grounded, to stay centered, to simply be? Imagine a boat drifting in a storm. The winds are fierce, the waves crash against the hull, and the world seems out of control. But the boat is steady because it is anchored. It does not try to outrun the storm or fight the waves. Instead, it remains grounded, staying true to its path. The same is true for us. In life, we cannot always control the external circumstances, but we can learn to stay anchored within ourselves. In those moments of chaos and uncertainty, we can find refuge in the present moment. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to pause. In the space between breaths, there is peace. In the stillness of the present moment, there is clarity. The Buddha calls us to embrace this moment, to fully experience it, to live it with mindfulness. The present moment is all we truly have, and within it lies the key to inner peace. When we allow ourselves to be fully present, without judgment, without distraction, we tap into a deep reservoir of calm that exists within each of us. This stillness is not a passive retreat from life, but rather an active choice. It is the courage to remain rooted, to stay centered, even when everything around us is falling apart. It takes strength to remain grounded when the world is in turmoil. It takes wisdom to see that the storm does not define us, and that we do not need to control every element of our lives to find peace. True peace comes from learning to be still in the midst of it all, to accept what is, and to trust that, like the waves of the ocean, everything will eventually pass. The Buddha taught that life is like the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. The waves will come and go, but beneath the surface, there is always peace. We cannot stop the waves from crashing, but we can learn how to ride them, how to navigate through them with grace. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf, he said. And this teaching is not just about accepting the waves of life, but about learning to flow with them, to dance with the rhythm of life, and to find stillness within the movement. When we embrace mindfulness, we learn to ride the waves of life instead of being tossed around by them. Mindfulness is not about escaping the world or withdrawing from reality. It is about being present with what is. It is the art of paying attention, of being fully aware of our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment or attachment. By practicing mindfulness, we cultivate the ability to remain calm, centered, and peaceful, even when the world is in chaos. The practice of mindfulness teaches us that peace is not something we find by escaping the world. It is something we create from within. It is the ability to sit with ourselves, to be comfortable in the present moment, and to accept life as it is. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to notice the small moments of stillness that exist even in the busiest of days. We begin to notice the stillness in the breath, the quiet in between the thoughts, the peace that exists beneath the surface of our busy minds. This practice is a gift we give ourselves. In a world that constantly pulls us in every direction, mindfulness is the anchor that keeps us grounded. It is the stillness in which we can hear our own hearts, feel our true essence, and reconnect with the peace that lies within. It is in this space of inner stillness that we find our true strength. We discover that no matter what life throws our way, we can remain anchored in peace. We can ride the waves with grace and resilience, knowing that no storm lasts forever. The Buddhist teachings are not just philosophical ideas, they are practical tools for navigating the ups and downs of life. They offer us a path to true freedom, not the freedom from difficulty, but the freedom to be at peace no matter what arises. When we cultivate stillness within, we find the courage to face whatever comes our way with clarity and compassion. We are no longer controlled by external circumstances, but we become masters of our own inner world. So the next time life feels overwhelming, the next time the storm of chaos is swirling around you, remember this: true peace is not something you must chase. It is something you already possess buried deep within you. All you need to do is stop, breathe, and choose to be still. The storm may continue, but you will be anchored in the peace that resides within. In this stillness, you will find the clarity, the strength, and the wisdom you need to navigate life with grace. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to remain calm and centered in the face of it. It is not about escaping the storm, but about learning how to find refuge within it. By cultivating mindfulness and stillness, we learn to ride the waves of life with courage and resilience. And as we do, we discover that no matter how turbulent the world may seem, we can always find calm in the center of it all. In our modern world, many of us equate discipline with strict rules and harsh punishments. We are often taught that discipline is something external, a set of commands we must follow or consequences we must endure. Yet, in the teachings of Buddhism, discipline is viewed not as a form of punishment, but as an act of self-compassion. It is not about forcing ourselves to become someone we are not or conforming to societal expectations. Instead, it is about gently guiding ourselves back to our true nature, the essence of who we really are. In Buddhism, discipline is rooted in mindfulness, intention, and consistency. At its core, discipline is about cultivating a deep, conscious awareness of the present moment. It is not about striving for perfection or rigid self-control. Instead, it is about being fully present in each moment, paying attention to what we are doing, and bringing a sense of attention to even the smallest actions. The Buddha taught us that true discipline arises when we act with a clear, focused mind, grounded in the present. When we approach each task with care and attention, it shapes our character and strengthens our inner peace. This idea of discipline may seem simple, but it is profound. We often think of discipline as something we must impose on ourselves, a tool for achieving goals or meeting expectations. However, in Buddhism, discipline is seen as an act of love for ourselves. It is about creating space for mindfulness in our daily lives. Whether it's waking up early to meditate, washing the dishes with full attention, or simply breathing with awareness, each act of discipline is an opportunity to reconnect with our true self. Through consistent, mindful practice, we build habits that nurture our well-being and cultivate inner peace. As we grow older and our bodies naturally slow down, we may find ourselves drifting away from the structure we once had. The world may demand less of us, and the busyness of life may seem to fade. In these quieter years, it can be easy to lose our sense of purpose or direction. However, the Buddha teaches us that discipline is not about pushing ourselves harder or doing more. It is about finding structure in simplicity. In our later years, discipline may take the form of small, mindful actions: a morning walk, a few minutes of meditation, a moment of stillness in the middle of a busy day. These simple practices are not insignificant. They are the foundation for a life of inner peace and clarity. The mind, according to the Buddha, is the source of everything. What you think, you become. Our thoughts shape our actions shape our habits, and our habits shape our character. If we want to cultivate a mind that is clear, calm, and resilient, we must first practice discipline in our daily lives. It is not about achieving external success or meeting others' expectations, but about developing the inner strength to face life's challenges with grace and equanimity. Every small act of discipline, every mindful choice, contributes to the steady growth of a peaceful mind. In moments of difficulty or confusion, discipline can be the anchor that keeps us grounded. It is the commitment to returning to the present moment, to breathing with awareness, to choosing peace over chaos. When we approach life with discipline, through mindfulness and intention, we begin to notice the beauty in the simple things. We find joy in the small moments. We learn to embrace life as it is without judgment or resistance. As we navigate the challenges of life, we may encounter obstacles that make discipline feel difficult or unnecessary. But it is in these moments that discipline becomes most powerful. It is in the moments of hardship that we need discipline the most, as it helps us stay centered and focused on what truly matters. In the face of adversity, discipline becomes a practice of resilience. It is the steady commitment to returning to our center, to reconnecting with our true self, no matter how difficult the circumstances. Ultimately, the Buddha's teachings remind us that discipline is not a burden, but a path to freedom. It is the path to self-awareness, to peace, and to spiritual growth. As we cultivate discipline in our lives, we are not striving to be perfect. We are simply striving to be present, to be mindful, and to live with intention. Through consistent, mindful practice, we unlock the power to transform our lives, to create a peaceful mind, and to find joy in the simplicity of being. The Buddha's words are a reminder that discipline is a form of self-care. It is an act of love for ourselves, a way to nurture our inner peace and clarity. As we go through the motions of daily life, we may find that true discipline lies not in rigid control or external achievements, but in our ability to be present, to act with intention, and to approach life with compassion for ourselves and others. By embracing discipline in this way, we begin to live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us, cultivating a life of peace, wisdom, and balance. So, my friends, let us not see discipline as a form of restriction or control, but as a gentle invitation to return to our true nature. Let us approach each day with the mindfulness, with the intention to be present, and with the consistency to build habits that nourish our well-being. The path to inner peace is not one of force or struggle. It is one of grace, presence, and love for ourselves. Through discipline, we become the best version of who we are meant to be, a being of peace, wisdom, and compassion. As the Buddha said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Let us cultivate a mind of peace, clarity, and resilience through discipline, and in doing so, let us become the embodiment of the teachings that have been passed down to us. Through mindfulness, intention, and consistency, we create a life of true freedom, a life of peace, joy, and spiritual fulfillment. As we journey through life, we often find ourselves holding on to things, both physically and emotionally, that no longer serve us. Over time, these attachments, whether to possessions, relationships, or past experiences, can weigh heavily on our hearts and minds. And as we grow older, we may notice the burdens they carry become more evident. But what if, instead of clinging to these things, we learn to let them go? What if we allowed ourselves to be free from the emotional ties that bind us, so that we could embrace the fullness of life in the present moment? The Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, taught us the profound truth that attachment is at the root of suffering. This doesn't just refer to the material possessions we hoard, but also to the emotional baggage we accumulate throughout our lives. We may find ourselves holding on to past regrets, the pain of old wounds, or the need to always be right. These emotional attachments can cloud our minds, fill our hearts with resentment, and keep us trapped in cycles of suffering that are difficult to break. Yet, the Buddha showed us that letting go is not about rejecting these feelings or experiences, but about freeing ourselves from their weight. By releasing these attachments, we make space for something new, something lighter, more peaceful, and more aligned with our true nature. Letting go is a transformative practice, one that requires deep courage and mindfulness. It is not an easy task, especially when we are attached to ideas, people, or possessions that have defined us for so long. We might feel as though letting go means losing a part of ourselves, but in reality, it is the act of surrender that allows us to rediscover who we truly are. Think of it as cleaning out a cluttered room. As we clear away the old, unused items, we create room for new energy, fresh perspectives, and the ability to welcome what life has to offer. When we let go of the past, we make space for the present moment to unfold, and we open ourselves to the endless possibilities that exist in the here and now. The Buddhist teachings remind us that attachment often leads to suffering because it creates a false sense of security. We hold on to things out of fear, fear of loss, fear of change, fear of not being enough. But the truth is, everything in this world is impermanent. No matter how much we try to hold on to something, it is bound to change. People come and go, possessions wear out, and even our bodies will eventually change and age. Therefore, the more we cling to these temporary things, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, and sadness. But when we embrace the impermanence of life, we begin to see that there is no need to hold on so tightly. Everything flows naturally, and we can choose to flow with it rather than resist. Letting go is not about rejecting what has come before. It is not about dismissing the experiences, relationships, or possessions that have shaped us. Instead, it is about releasing the emotional attachment we have to these things. It's about accepting that they were part of our journey, but they no longer define us. Letting go means freeing ourselves from the emotional weight of past experiences that no longer serve our highest good. It is an act of self-compassion, a way of treating ourselves with love and understanding, and a recognition that we are worthy of peace and joy in the present moment. The act of letting go requires us to face our fears head on. We must confront the fears that arise when we consider releasing something that has been a part of us for so long. What will happen if I let go of this relationship? Will I be alone? What if I release my attachment to this dream or goal? Will I lose my sense of purpose? These are the questions that arise when we begin to think about letting go. But as the Buddha taught us, true freedom comes from releasing our attachments. When we let go of the need to control outcomes or hold on to things that no longer serve us, we create space for something better, something more in alignment with our true nature. When we let go, we also let go of the need to be right. We release our grip on the idea that we must always have the last word or that we need to prove ourselves to others. This is one of the most freeing aspects of letting go. When we stop trying to control every situation, we open ourselves up to deeper connections with others. We no longer need to be defensive because we are no longer attached to the outcome. Instead, we can simply be present, allowing others to be themselves without judgment, and embracing the beauty of their uniqueness. In this way, letting go helps us cultivate deeper relationships based on love, compassion, and mutual respect. Another important aspect of letting go is releasing our attachment to the idea of perfection. We often find ourselves clinging to unrealistic standards of what life should look like or how we should behave. This need for perfection keeps us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. We may compare ourselves to others, feeling inadequate because we believe we are not measuring up to some ideal. But the Buddha taught us that perfection is an illusion. Life is not about achieving a perfect state, but about accepting the imperfections that make us who we are. When we let go of the need for perfection, we allow ourselves to be more authentic, more genuine, and more at peace with the present moment. Letting go also involves releasing the fear of the unknown. It requires trust. The trust that life has a way of unfolding exactly as it is meant to. We often hold on to things because we fear what might happen if we let them go. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I let go of this dream and never find another one? These are the fears that hold us back from releasing what no longer serves us. But when we trust the flow of life, we allow ourselves to be guided towards something greater. The Buddha taught that the path to enlightenment is not about knowing exactly what will happen next, but about trusting the journey, step by step, and being open to what unfolds. In every moment, we are given the opportunity to let go. Whether it is releasing the weight of a grudge, letting go of past regrets, or surrendering the need to control every aspect of our lives, we have the power to choose freedom. Every time we let go, we are making space for something more beautiful, more peaceful, and more aligned with our true nature. And the more we practice this art of letting go, the more we begin to experience the deep peace that comes from living without attachment. As we release what no longer serves us, we find that the true nature of our hearts is love, compassion, and wisdom. So, my friends, the next time you find yourself holding on to something, whether it's a past hurt, a fear, or an expectation, ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this something I am ready to let go of? In that moment of release, you will find freedom. The Buddhist teachings remind us that by letting go, we open ourselves to the endless possibilities of the present moment. This is the path to peace, to true freedom, and to the awakening of the heart. And in this freedom, we find the greatest gift of all, the ability to live fully, to embrace the beauty of life, and to walk the path of wisdom with an open heart. My friends, the journey we call life is not one of rushing toward the end, but rather a quiet unfolding that reveals itself one moment at a time. In Buddhism, we learn that life is a path of self-discovery, growth, and compassion. The Buddhist teachings guide us toward understanding that peace doesn't come from what we achieve or acquire, but from how we choose to live each moment. It's about being present, intentional, and mindful in everything we do. We often hear that life is a race, a competition to be the best, to accumulate wealth, or to collect accolades. But let me ask you this. How many of these things truly bring you peace? How many of them bring you the lasting happiness you seek? The truth is, as we grow older and our experiences accumulate, we begin to realize that the true meaning of life isn't found in external accomplishments, but in how we show up in the world. It's found in how we love, how we care, and how we live with mindfulness in each and every moment. You see, when we live intentionally, we awaken to the present moment. And this awakening brings with it a sense of inner peace that cannot be disturbed by the noise and chaos around us. Life is not something to be conquered or controlled. It is something to be embraced, moment by moment. The Buddha spoke often about the importance of living with intention. Every thought, every word, and every action carries with it energy. And when we live with purpose, we align ourselves with the energy of the universe. Living intentionally doesn't mean that everything in life will go as we want it to. It doesn't mean that we will be free from pain or suffering. But what it does mean is that we approach each experience with awareness, with openness, and with compassion. And in doing so, we transform our relationship with life. Rather than seeing challenges as obstacles, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of seeking peace outside of ourselves, we come to understand that peace already exists within us, just waiting to be uncovered. The Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." These words hold a profound truth that can only be understood through experience. We spend so much of our lives searching for peace in the world around us, whether through material possessions, relationships, or achievements. But the peace we seek cannot be found in anything external. It is already inside of us, buried beneath the layers of distraction and attachment. And the only way to access it is to quiet the mind, to let go of the need for control, and to simply be present. As we grow older, our perspective on life begins to shift. We begin to see that the things we once thought were important, the promotions, the accolades, the recognition, are fleeting. What truly matters is how we treat others, how we show up for the people we love, and how we live in alignment with our values. Life is not about impressing others or proving our worth. It's about living with kindness, compassion, and awareness. The peace that the Buddha speaks of is not a distant goal to be achieved. It is a way of living that is cultivated through consistent practice. It is not a peace that comes from the outside, but a peace that arises from within when we live with intention. When we live with intention, we become aware of the energy we bring into the world. We become mindful of the thoughts we entertain, the words we speak, and the actions we take. And as we become more aware, we begin to live with greater clarity, purpose, and peace. This is the essence of Buddhist practice, a path not of struggle, but of gentle, intentional living. It is not about fighting against the flow of life or trying to change the world to fit our desires. It is about accepting life as it is, with all of its challenges, its imperfections, and its beauty. The Buddha teaches us that peace is not found by escaping the world, but by fully engaging with it. It is about being present here and now in this moment and allowing ourselves to experience life as it unfolds. When we begin to live with intention, we cultivate a deep sense of inner peace that is unshakable. This peace does not depend on circumstances or external events. It is a peace that comes from within, from our ability to remain centered in the midst of life's storms. It is a peace that is grounded in mindfulness, in the awareness of each moment, and in the acceptance of life as it is. In Buddhist practice, we learn that the mind is everything. What we think, we become. Our thoughts shape our reality, and when we choose to live intentionally, we choose to cultivate a mind that is clear, calm, and focused. This doesn't mean that we never experience challenges or hardships, but it does mean that when we face difficulties, we are able to approach them with a sense of inner strength and resilience. We are able to face adversity with equanimity, knowing that it is not the circumstances that define us, but how we respond to them. As we walk this path of intentional living, we begin to experience a strength that is rooted in stillness. It is a strength that does not rely on external validation or success, but on an inner knowing that we are living in alignment with our true purpose. This strength arises from our ability to remain present, to remain grounded, and to remain compassionate toward ourselves and others. It is a strength that comes from the deep understanding that we are enough, just as we are, and that we do not need to prove ourselves to anyone. In this journey of self-discovery, we begin to uncover the wisdom that lies within us. This wisdom is not learned from books or teachings, but from the experiences of life itself. It is a wisdom that arises from embracing life as it is, without judgment or resistance. It is the wisdom that comes from understanding that everything is impermanent, that change is the only constant, and that true peace is found in the acceptance of this truth. My friends, the Buddha's teachings are not just abstract concepts or philosophical ideas. They are practical guidelines for living a life of peace, compassion, and mindfulness. They are a call to awaken to the present moment, to live with intention, and to cultivate a deep sense of inner peace. This is the path of Buddhist practice, a path that leads to the discovery of who we truly are and to the peace that is already within us. So let us walk this path together. Let us live with intention, with purpose, and with compassion. Let us embrace each moment with mindfulness, knowing that as we do, we are uncovering the peace and wisdom that lies within us. And let us remember, as the Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The journey is not about reaching the end. It is about awakening to the beauty of each moment and finding peace in the process.